carving a jack-o'-lantern can be fun for the whole family. Or maybe just you and your boo.
Oh, you and your boo. So we have our friend Jerry James Stone is here to make navigating the pumpkin patch and the days after easy as pie.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. Hey, I love the costume.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gosh, Posty, we needed our costumes on.
Okay, should have worn it today.
We got to start here. So, Jerry, I've been to the pumpkin patch this year. It can be overwhelming. So help us navigate what you look for the perfect pumpkin for carving.
So basically size, really. That's one thing you want to think about is like, smaller ones are hard to get inside there, right? So you want a good size that you can do it. And if you've probably seen on TikTok, there's that using the hand mixer to get the seeds out. That works really, really well. But I look for uniformity, and I just want something that's fresh. So you don't want any mold or anything like that because you want your pumpkin to last.
Now, wait, I have a question. So you carved it from the bottom. I
Yes,
carved the stem out. I'm learning.
Yes,
yeah, this is good.
I do that because it makes it really easy to light, right? You don't have to actually stick your hand in there and then worry about burning your hand when you're trying to get a candle down in the bottom. So, and the other part of that is the moisture that builds up in the pumpkin has a way to drain out, which keeps it from molding, which is really important for keeping that pumpkin for lasting.
Brilliant.
Yes, Mr. Jerry James
love that.
Yes.
Stone, you were a genius right there.
Yeah. You know what? we also want to talk about, and Colleen, you and I are talking about this off camera, about how long a carved pumpkin usually lasts, right? It's typically 3 to 5 days, but there are ways that we can prolong our friend, our pal, right, Jack, from looking, feeling, and fresh, right? We got to keep it going, right?
Yes. Yeah. So one thing you can do is spray it with 1 part vinegar, 1 part water. So when you initially carve it, spray it with that. That'll kill any of the mold that's on the pumpkin. And then I just every couple of days, we'll retreat it. You want to keep that pumpkin mold free. That's the first thing because you have a carved vegetable outside that's going to just want to rot. So that's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do, as those temperatures start to drop, you want to bring it inside at night. You don't want your pumpkin freezing and then thawing and freezing and thawing because that's going to cause it to rot faster. So those 2 things will really keep that pumpkin fresh for a long time.
And just to clarify, you're spraying that on after you carve it?
Yes, after I carve it, I spray it on the outside, I spray it on the inside. That vinegar, water, let it dry, kills the mold, keeps the mold away. It's just the same way it works for storing berries, it works for keeping that pumpkin fresh.
I'm taking copious notes.
No, this is great.
And so as you mentioned, of course, we think it's a refrigerator outside if you have a cold night, but you're saying that really speeds up sometimes the pumpkin starting to deteriorate. So some really good tips there because I know you carve it and you want it to stay, and then you look outside and it's just collapsed and the squirrels are eating it, and you're like, my masterpiece. But okay, so let's take a step after the holidays. So okay, the holiday spirit wears off. You got your jack-o'-lanterns. A lot of them, unfortunately, end up in the landfill. So can you give us some eco-friendly ways to dispose of your masterpieces?
Yeah, and that's the one reason you want to use vinegar. A lot of times you'll hear people say use bleach, but don't use bleach because it's toxic. The vinegar is fine. So the vinegar will keep it fresh. Once you're done with that jack-o'-lantern, you can do a couple different things. You obviously can compost it. If you have a garden, I recommend burying the pumpkin and let it rot under the dirt for all those worms and other bugs that like to live off food. It's a really easy way to get rid of that pumpkin. There's a lot of ways that you can kind of use this as food for wildlife. You don't want to put it somewhere where you're going to be attracting, as you mentioned, squirrels coming to you and all that stuff, but you can feed wildlife with the pumpkin.
Hey, you know what? Actually, so I threw mine off to the side of the yard last year and it decomposed. Then the next year, there was actually a pumpkin vine growing. So I almost had my own pumpkins just growing in the backyard. I didn't even have to go to a pumpkin patch.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Just cycle of life there.
So do big pumpkins and small do they behave and evolve the same way? I mean, do you have to do special things for the larger ones than you do for the smaller ones?
Not really. I mean, the main thing is you just want to get most of those pumpkin guts out, anything that's going to cause moisture and cause it to mold faster. But the size of the pumpkin doesn't matter. They behave the same as far as that. It just makes it a little easier to carve. If it's a little bit bigger.
Hey, last question here, real quick. Do you roast your pumpkin seeds?
Oh, there you go.
Yes, I like to fight food waste. So I definitely roast those seeds. Bourbon and maple is my favorite flavor for them.
Oh, gosh. Okay, more notes right there. I just do olive oil and salt. So thank you so much, Jerry James Stone. Always good to have you with us. Happy Halloween.
I love the costume.
I do too.
Yeah.